So my name's Rich Lambert, and I'm the creative director on ESO. Summerset is the next chapter in Elder Scrolls Online. It is meant for both new and existing players. So there's a brand new tutorial for the new players to get them into the story. You can take your existing characters there and get into the story. And it covers a wide range of things. We try to make sure that there's something there for everybody. So there's a new 12-person trial. There is jewelry crafting. There is the Sigic Order makes its return to the world, which they've been gone for hundreds of years up to this point in the story arc and in the Elder Scrolls lore. And for the first time ever, you get to join the Sigic Order as a player. It made sense for us because Summerset is the home of the High Elves, which is the rumored birthplace of magic, and the Sigic Order like to think of themselves as the founders of magic. They were the precursors to the Mages Guild. And so it just made a lot of sense for us to go in and put 2 and 2 together there. Abilities-wise, when you join the Sigic Order, they will teach you a new skill line. And this skill line works in a very similar fashion to our other skill lines. So there's 5 active abilities, there's 5 passive abilities, and an ultimate. And they are all themed around the Sigic Order, which is Masters of Time and Mysticism. A really good example of one of the abilities is called Time Stop. And what that does is it's a targeted ability, a ground targeted ability. You put it in the world and this bubble of time appears, and anything that's trapped inside of it slows down until it stops and is frozen in time for a few seconds. Summerset is the home of the High Elves, and it's an ancient place. It's been cultivated over the years to fit the culture of the High Elves. It contains a lot of, really tall spires, really elegant architecture that shows that this place has been inhabited for eons. The Aldmer, who were the ancient elves, when they left their elven lands, they landed in Summerset. And so this is one of the oldest places in Tamriel that has been lived in. Do we retcon stuff? So I think the key for us when we're going through and digging through all of the lore is trying to find all of the different ways that the lore is told. And that's the beauty of Elder Scrolls, is there will be an account at a particular place or encounter from one side, and then you'll find another piece of lore that says it happened this way, another piece of lore that says it happens this way, and the truth is actually somewhere in the middle. And so we dig through a lot of that stuff, and we do our best to make sure that we act as the protectors of the lore. But we also have a group, Bethesda Game Studios, who is very close to us, and we have a really good working rapport with them. And so we bounce ideas off them to make sure that we're getting it right. Our update cadence, we went with the quarterly updates because it gives us avenues to tell better stories. We can tell them over the course of a year or several years, as is in the case of the Daedric War that we've been telling. But it also lets players know and lets players see that we care about the game and we're constantly improving it and updating it. And on top of all of that, players always have something to do. It's very hard to get bored in Elder Scrolls Online because there's so much stuff and we keep releasing new stuff as we go. The Daedra are essentially gods in Tamrielic lore. And when they get bored in their realms, they like to play with the inhabitants of Tamriel. And over the course of the last few updates, we've been telling the story of how a certain group of Daedric princes are working together for nefarious purposes. And that comes to a culmination in Summerset. They don't ever go away. They're Daedric princes. They live in the realm of Oblivion, so they can kind of always come back. But in Summerset, we're ending this story and we're going to start a new one in the future. Without giving too many spoilers away about the main story, because it's this special story, you basically prevent the annihilation of Tamriel. So if you didn't stop it, the world would be no more.
That's basically... So there'd be no game to play.
There would be no game to play if you don't stop it. The team that worked on Summerset, we have a few teams that kind of play this leapfrog game because we're doing these quarterly updates. The team that started on this basically started as soon as we finished Morrowind. So they've been working on it for a while. It takes us a long time to build stuff. We had planned for going to Somerset for a while. I have a roadmap that goes out several years just so that the teams all kind of know the direction we're heading in and the stories we want to tell, because it does take us so long. It takes a long time to build the art and record the voices and, actually implement the quests. It's something that we get a lot of feedback on. Where do we need to go to next? Well, how do we do that? We take a lot of that as, input, and then we look at the world and we look at the map. And one of the things that goes into determining where we go next is we also kind of look back at what we did last. So I think there's a really interesting contrast between Morrowind and Somerset. When you look at it, Morrowind is a volcanic kind of alien terrain and story. And Somerset is almost a complete 180 to that. It's very high fantasy, very high magic. It's a little bit more colorful and almost cultivated in its layout and its look. And so it's a really nice contrast between what we did last time. I mean, our fans are everything to us. We listen to them, we look at all their different types of feedback. I think the places where we see the biggest impact are in feel, gameplay type stuff, balance type stuff. I think also the thing that we get a lot from our players is just what are the pain points? What are the things that feel like they're missing in order for them to enjoy the game more? And we try to act on a lot of that stuff. There's a really cool Reddit thread that is all about Tamrielic lore and history. And every time we release new content, all of our writers go to that thread and look at it and see where they're trying to poke holes in our lore and our stories. And fortunately, we do a pretty good job at that, so there's not a lot to complain about there. But it's always interesting to see just how passionate and how knowledgeable our fans are about Elder Scrolls. So you do get to go to Artaeum, which is the Psijic Order home. And this is special because the island disappeared hundreds of years ago and took all the Psijic Order with them. And on the island, there's the Sephora Tower, which is an ancient structure, even older than almost as old, if not older, than the Crystal Tower that is on the island, or on the island of Somerset. We have this really interesting location out in kind of the countryside in Somerset called the House of Reveries, and it is an acting troupe. And the Altmer definitely go out of their way because they have the longest lifespan out of all the races. They go out of their way to be the masters at everything they do. And you wouldn't necessarily think that the Altmer care about acting and about culture, but that is a big part of their life, in addition to the search for knowledge and magic. So you get to go here and explore this troupe and why they do the things they do. For me, it's being able to go and explore Somerset and explore the lore. I am pretty big kind of lore nerd. I love exploring that space and seeing or experiencing the stories that I have read in the lore up to this point, and Somerset is full of all of that. So just being able to explore that world is, for me, the most exciting. Global launch June 5th on all platforms. We have an early access period for PC on May 21st, starting May 21st, and then we will be on PTS mid-April-ish, so soon. We're working on our second one this year, and then we'll have 2 more in Q3 and Q4. Well, like I said, this is the culmination of the Daedric War storyline that we've been telling since Orsinium. So Orsinium was 2016, I want to say, so long time ago. So we've been teasing that story out. We want to stop that story or end that story and start a new one. Jewelry crafting works like some of the other durable crafting skill lines, so like blacksmithing, like woodworking, where there are a number of passive abilities that you get that help improve your overall crafting for making jewelry. And you're going to be able to craft new jewelry, upgrade jewelry, make jewelry in item sets, which has never before been done for crafting jewelry. And then we're also taking the opportunity to build out what jewelry means. In the game currently, jewelry is kind of like a stat stick. You either get health, stamina, or magicka with the traits on it. And we're adding 6 new ones. So now there will be even more ways to customize your character.